Sun Pofu does battle with Yin, the white tiger. In the last chapter, it was recorded that Chang Fei was about to end his life with his own weapon. But his brother rushed forward and caught him in his arms, snatched away the sword and threw it on the earth, saying, "Brothers are hands and feet, wives and children are as clothing. You may mend your torn dress, but who can reattach a lost limb? We three, by the oath of the peach garden, swore to seek the same death day. The city is lost, it is true, and my wife and little ones, but I could not bear that we should die ere our course be run. Beside, the city was not really mine, and Lu Pu will not harm my family, but will rather seek to preserve them. You made a mistake, worthy brother, but is it one deserving of death?" And he wept. His brothers were much affected, and their tears fell in sympathy. As soon as the news of Lu Pu's successful seizure of his protector's district reached Yuan Shu, he sent promises of valuable presents to Lu to induce him to join in a further attack on Liu Pei. The presents are said to have been 50,000 measures of grain, 500 horses, 10,000 taels of gold and silver, and 1,000 pieces of colored silk. Lu Pu swallowed the bait and ordered Cao Shun to lead forth 5 legions. But Liu Pei heard of the threatened attack, so he made inclement weather an excuse to disband his few soldiers and left TʻAishih before the attacking force came up. However, Cao Shun demanded the promised reward through Kai Ling, who put him off, saying, "My lord has gone away. I will settle this as soon as I can see him and get his decision." With this answer, Cao Shun returned to Lu Pu, who could not decide what to do. Then came a letter from Yuan Shu saying that, although Cao Shun had gone to attack Liu Pei, yet Pei had not been destroyed and no reward could be given till he was actually taken. Lu Pu railed at what he called the breach of faith and was inclined to attack Yuan Shu himself. However, his advisor opposed this course, saying, "You should not. He is in possession of Shaochun and has a large army, well supplied. You are no match for him. Rather ask Liu Pei to take up his quarters at TʻAishih as one of your wings, and when the time comes, let him lead the attack. Then both the Yuans will fall before you and you will be very powerful." Finding this advice good, he sent letters to Yuan Ter asking him to return. The story of Liu Pei's attack on Quangling, the attack on his camp and his losses, has been told. On his way back, he met the messenger from Lu Pu, who presented the letter. Yuan Ter was quite content with the offer, but his brothers were not inclined to trust Lu. "Since he treats me kindly, I cannot but trust him," replied Yuan Ter. So he went back to TʻAishih. Lu Pu, fearing that Liu Pei might doubt his sincerity, restored his family, and when the ladies, Can and Mai, saw their lord, they told him that they had been kindly treated and guarded by soldiers against any intrusion, and provisions had never been wanting. "I knew he would not harm my family," said Yuan Ter to Quan and Chang. However, they were not pleased and would not accompany their brother into the city when he went to express his thanks. They went to escort the 2 ladies to TʻAishih. At the interview, Lu Pu said, "I did not wish to take the city, but your brother behaved very badly, drinking and flogging the soldiers, and I came to guard it lest some evil should befall. But I had long wished to yield it to you," said Yuan Ter. Thereupon Lu Pu pretended to wish to retire in favor of Yuan Ter, who, however, would not hear of it. He returned and took up his quarters in TʻAishih, but his 2 brothers would not take the situation kindly and were very discontented. Said Yuan Ter, "One must bow to one's lot. It is the will of heaven and one cannot struggle against fate." Lu Pu sent presents of food and stuffs, and peace reigned between the 2 houses. But there is no need to write of this. As the story runs, Yuan Shu prepared a great banquet for his soldiers on the occasion of a victory gained by Sun TʻAishih over Lu Kayang, the prefect of Luqiang. Yuan Shu summoned the victor, who made obeisance at the foot of the hall of audience. Shu, sitting in state, asked for details of the campaign and then invited son TʻAishih to the banquet. After the unhappy death of his father, son TʻAishih had returned to Changnan, where he had devoted himself to peaceful ends, inviting to his side good men and able scholars. Afterwards, when a quarrel broke out between his mother's uncle, the prefect of Tanyang, and TʻAishih, he removed his mother with all the family to TʻAishih, he himself taking service under Yuan Shu, who admired and loved him greatly. "If I had a son like him," said Shu, "I should die without regret." He employed son TʻAishih as a soldier and sent him on various expeditions, all of which were successful. After this banquet to celebrate the victory over Luo Guanzhong, son TʻAishih returned to his camp very bitter over the arrogant and patronizing airs of his patron. Instead of retiring to his tent, he walked up and down by the light of the moon. "Here am I, a mere nobody, and yet my father was such a hero." And he cried out and wept in spite of himself. Then suddenly appeared one who said, laughing loudly, "What is this, O Po Fu? While your noble father enjoyed the light of the sun, he made free use of me. And if his son has any difficulty to resolve, why does he not refer it to me also instead of weeping here alone?" Looking at the speaker, son TʻAishih saw it was one Chu-Chi, whose less formal name was Chun Lai, a native of that district, who had been in his father's service. Son TʻAishih then ceased weeping, and they too sat down. "I was weeping from regret at being unable to continue my father's work," said he. "Why stay here bound to the service of a master? Why not get command of an army under the pretense of an expedition to relieve Changtung? Then you can accomplish great things." While these two were talking, another man suddenly entered, saying, "I know what you two are planning, noble sirs. Under my hand is a band of bold fellows ready to help Po Fu in whatever he wishes to do." The speaker was one of Yuan Shu's advisors named Lu Fan. They three then sat and discussed schemes. "The one fear is that the soldiers will be refused," said the newcomer. "I still have the imperial seal that my father left me. That should be good security." "Yuan Shu earnestly desires that jewel," said Chu-Chi. "He will certainly lend you men on that pledge." The three talked over their plans, gradually settling the details, and not many days after, son TʻAishih obtained an interview with his patron. Assuming the appearance of deep grief, he said, "I have been unable to avenge my father. Now the prefect of Yangchao is opposing my mother's brother, and my mother and her family are in danger. Wherefore I would borrow a few companies of fighting men to rescue them. As perhaps, illustrious sir, you may lack confidence in me, I am willing to deposit the imperial seal, left me by my late father, as a pledge." "Let me see it if you have it," said Shu. "I do not want the jewel really, but you may as well leave it with me. I will lend you 3 companies and 500 horses. Return as soon as peace can be made. As your rank is hardly sufficient for such powers, I will memorialize to obtain for you higher rank with the title of General, Exterminator of Brigands, and you can soon start." TʻAishih thanked his patron most humbly and soon put the army in motion, taking with him his 2 new friends as well as his former captains. When he reached Liang, he saw a body of troops in front of him, at their head a dashing leader of handsome and refined mien. As soon as this man saw son TʻAishih, he dismounted and made obeisance. It was Chu Yu. When Sun Qin was opposing the tyrant minister Tung Chou, the Chu family had removed to Shu in modern Anhui, and as Chu Yu and Sun TʻAishih were of the same age all but 2 months, they became exceedingly good friends and sworn brothers, TʻAishih being the elder. In virtue of his 2-month seniority, Chu Yu was on his way to visit son TʻAishih's uncle, prefect of Tanyang, when the happy meeting took place. Naturally, son TʻAishih confided his projects and inmost ideas to his friend, who at once promised fidelity and service. They would work out the grand design together. Now that you have come, the design is as good as accomplished, said Sun. Chu Yu was introduced to Chu Qi and Lu Fan. Chu Yu said, "Do you know of the two Changs of Chiangtung? They would be most useful men in working out your schemes." "Who are they, the two Changs?" said Sun. "They are men of transcendent genius who are living near here for the sake of tranquility in these troublous times. Their names are Chang Kao and Chang Hung. Why not invite them to help you, brother?" Sun TʻAishih lost no time in sending letters and gifts, but they both declined. Then he visited them in person, was greatly pleased with their speech, and by dint of large gifts and much persuasion, got them to promise to join him. They were given substantial offices. The plan of the attack upon Yangchu was the next matter for discussion. The prefect, Liu Yu, was of Tunglai, a scion of the imperial family and brother of the governor of Yanchao. He had long ruled in Yangchu, but Yuan Shu had forced him to leave his usual abiding city and retire to Chua. Hearing of the meditated attack on him, he summoned his captains to take counsel. Said Chang Ying, "I will take an army and entrench at Niuchu. No army can get past that, whatever its strength." He was interrupted by another who shouted, "And let me lead the van." All eyes turned to this man. It was TʻAishih Tzu who, after raising the siege of Pohai, had come on a visit to the prefect and stayed on. Hearing him offer to undertake the hazardous post of van leader, Liu Yu said, "But you are still young and not yet equal to such a charge. Rather stay by my side and obey my orders." TʻAishih Tzu withdrew in high dudgeon. Soon Chang Ying led his army to Niuchu, leaving his stores of grain at Tico. When Sun TʻAishih approached, Chang Ying went to meet him, and the two armies faced each other above Niuchuten, Bullock Island Rapid. Chang Ying roundly abused his opponent, and Huang Kai rode out to attack. But before the combat had proceeded far, there arose an alarm of fire in Chang Ying's camp. Chang Ying turned back, and then Sun TʻAishih advanced in full force, compelling the enemy to abandon their possession. The defeated general fled to the hills. Now the incendiaries who had brought about this result were two, named Chiang Xiachen and Chu Ti, both from the Kyukyang district, who in these troublous times had got together a band of kindred spirits and lived by plundering the country along the Yangtze River. They knew Sun TʻAishih by reputation as a man who treated able men very liberally and wished to join him. So they came with their band, 300 strong, and helped him in this way as an introduction. Sun TʻAishih welcomed them and gave the leaders rank. After taking possession of the stores of all kinds abandoned by the runaways, and enlisting a large number of those who surrendered into his own ranks, he moved forward to attack Shanting. After his defeat, Chang Ying returned to his master and told his misfortune. Liu Yu was going to punish his failure by death, but listened to his advisors, who asked for mercy for the unfortunate man, and sent him to command the garrison in Lingling. He himself set out to meet the invaders. He camped under the hills at Lingnan. Sun TʻAishih camped on the opposite side of the hills. Sun TʻAishih inquired if there was a temple to Quangwu, of the Hands, in the vicinity, and was told there was a temple on the summit of the hills. "I dreamed last night that he called me, so I will go and pray there," said TʻAishih. He was advised not to go as the enemy was on the other side, and he might fall into an ambush. "The spirit will help me, what need I fear?" So he put on his armor, took his spear, and mounted, taking with him 12 of his officers as an escort. They rode up the hills, dismounted, burned incense, and they all bowed in the shrine. Then TʻAishih knelt and made a vow, saying, "If I, son TʻAishih, succeed in my task and restore the authority of my late father, then will I restore this temple and order sacrifices at the 4 seasons." When they had remounted, he said, "I am going to ride along the ridge and reconnoiter the enemy's position." His followers begged him to refrain, but he was obstinate, and they rode away together, noting the villages below. A soldier going along a by-road quickly reported the presence of horsemen on the ridge, and Liu Yu said, "It is certainly son TʻAishih trying to inveigle us to battle. But do not go out." TʻAishih Tzu the Bold jumped up, saying, "What better chance to capture him?" So, without orders, he armed himself and rode through the camp crying, "If there be any valiant men among you, follow me." No one moved save a subaltern who said, "He is a valiant man and I will go with him." So he also went. The others only laughed at the pair. Now, having seen all, he wished son TʻAishih thought it time to return and wheeled round his horse. But when he was going over the summit, someone shouted, "Stay, son TʻAishih." He turned. 2 horsemen were coming at full speed down the next hill. He halted and drew up his little escort right and left, he himself with his spear ready. "Which is son TʻAishih?" shouted TʻAishih. "Who are you?" was the reply. "I am TʻAishih Tzu of Tunglai, come to take him prisoner." "Then I am he," said son TʻAishih, laughing. "Come both of you together, I am not afraid of you. If I was, I should not be Po Fu. You and all your crowd come on, and I will not blench," cried TʻAishih, putting his horse at a gallop and setting his spear. Sun braced himself for the shock, and the battle began. 50 bouts were fought, and still neither combatant had the advantage. Son TʻAishih's followers whispered to each other their admiration and amazement. TʻAishih saw that the spearmanship of his opponent showed no weak point whereby he could gain the advantage, so he decided to resort to guile. Feigning defeat, he would lead Sun to pursue. TʻAishih, however, did not retire along the road by which he had come, but took a path leading around the hill instead of over it. His antagonist followed, shouting, "He who retreats is no worthy son of Han." But TʻAishih thought within himself, "He has 12 others at his back and I only one. If I capture him, the others will retake him. I will inveigle him into some secret spot and then try." So, flying and fighting by turns, he led son TʻAishih, an eager pursuer, down to the plain. Here TʻAishih suddenly wheeled about and attacked. Again they exchanged 100 bouts, without result. Then Sun made a fierce thrust which his opponent evaded by gripping the spear under his oxter, while TʻAishih did the same with his opponent's spear. Neither was wounded, but each exerting his utmost strength to pull the other out of the saddle. They both came to the ground. Their steeds galloped off they knew not whither, while the 2 men, each dropping his spear, began a hand-to-hand struggle. Soon their fighting robes were in tatters. Sun gripped the short lance that TʻAishih carried at his back, while TʻAishih tore off the other's helmet. Sun tried to stab with the short lance, but TʻAishih fended off the blow with the helmet as a shield. Then arose a great shouting. Liu Yu had come up with a company of soldiers. Sun seemed now in sore straits. His 12 followers came up and each combatant let go his hold. TʻAishih quickly found another steed, seized a spear and mounted. Sun TʻAishih, whose charger had been caught by CHRPU, also mounted, and a confused battle began between the handful of men on one side and a whole company on the other. It swayed and drifted down the hillside. However, soon Chu Yu came to the rescue, and as evening drew on a tempest put an end to the fight. Both sides drew off and returned to camp. Next day Sun TʻAishih led his army to the front of Liu Yu's camp, and the challenge was accepted. The armies were drawn up. Sun hung the short lance he had seized from TʻAishih Tizu at the end of his spear, and waved it in front of the line of battle and ordered his soldiers to shout. If the owner of this had not fled, he would have been stabbed to death. On the other side they hung out Sun's helmet, and the soldiers shouted back, "Sun TʻAishih's head is here already." Both sides thus yelled defiance at each other, one side boasting, the other bragging. Then TʻAishih rode out challenging Sun to a duel to the death, and Sun would have accepted, but CHRPU said, "My lord should not trouble himself, I will take him." And he rode forth. "You are no antagonist for me," said TʻAishih. "Tell your master to come out." This incensed CHR, who rode at his opponent, and they too fought many bouts. The duel was stopped by the gongs of Liu Yu. "Why did you sound the retreat?" said TʻAishih. "I was just going to capture the wretch." "Because I have just heard that Chua is threatened. Chu Yu is leading a force thither, and a certain Chern Wu is in league with him to betray the city. The loss would be irremediable. I will hasten to Moling to get the help of Sui Lai and Chai Yung." The army retired, TʻAishih Tizu with it, without being pursued. On the other side, Chang Kao said to Sun TʻAishih, "Chu Yu's threatened attack is the cause of this move. They are in no mood to fight. A night raid on their camp would finish them." The army was divided into 5 divisions for the night surprise, and hastened toward the camp where they were victorious. Their opponents scattered in all directions. TʻAishih alone made a determined stand, and as he could not withstand a whole army, he fled with a few followers to Qingxian. Now Sun TʻAishih acquired a new adherent in the person of Chern Wu. He was a soldier of middle height, sallow of complexion and dark eye, an odd-looking man. But Sun held him in high esteem, gave him rank and put him in the van for the attack on Sui Lai. As van leader, he and half a score horsemen made a dash into the enemy's formation, where they slew 50 men. So Sui Lai would not fight, but remained within his defenses. As Sun was attacking the city, a spy came in with the news that Liu Yu and Chai Yung had gone to attack Niuchu, which made Sun move thither in haste. His 2 opponents were ready for battle. "I am here," said Sun TʻAishih. "You had better give in." A horseman came out from behind the 2 leaders to accept the challenge. It was Yu Mai. But in the 3rd bout Sun TʻAishih made him prisoner and carried him off to the other side. Seeing his colleague thus captured, Fan Nairn rode out to the rescue and got quite close. But just as he was going to thrust, all the soldiers shouted, "There is a man behind you going to strike secretly." At this Sun TʻAishih turned and shouted so thunderously loud that Fan Nairn fell out of his saddle from mere fright. He split his skull and died. When Sun TʻAishih reached his standard, he threw his prisoner to the ground, and he was also dead, crushed to death between the arm and the body of his captor. So in a few moments Sun TʻAishih had disposed of 2 enemies, one crushed to death and one frightened to death. Thereafter Sun TʻAishih was called the Little Prince. After Liu Yu's defeat, the greater portion of his force surrendered, and the number of those put to death exceeded 10,000. Liu Yu himself sought safety with Liu Pio. An attack on Moling was the next move. As soon as Sun TʻAishih arrived at the moat, he summoned the commander, TʻAishih, to surrender. Someone let fly a furtive arrow from the wall which wounded Sun in the left thigh so severely that he fell from his steed. Hastily his officers picked up their wounded chief and returned to the camp where the arrow was pulled out, and the wound dressed with the medicines suitable for injuries by metals. By Sun TʻAishih's command, the story was spread abroad that the hurt had been fatal, and all the soldiers set up cries of lamentation. The camp was broken up. The defender of the city made a night sortie, but fell into a carefully prepared ambush, and presently Sun himself appeared on horseback shouting, "Sun TʻAishih is here still." His sudden appearance created such a panic that the soldiers dropped their weapons and fell on their faces. Sun gave orders not to kill them, but their leaders fell, one from a spear thrust as he turned to run away, another wounded by an arrow, and the commander-in-chief was slain in the first rush. Thus Sun TʻAishih got possession of Moling. Having calmed the people, he sent his soldiers away to Qingxian, where TʻAishih was in command. TʻAishih had assembled 2 companies of veterans in addition to his own troop, for the purpose of avenging his master. Sun TʻAishih and Chu Yu, on the other hand, consulted how to capture him alive. The latter's plan was to attack the city on 3 sides, leaving the east gate free for flight. Some distance off an ambush would be prepared, when their victim, his men fatigued and horses spent, would fall an easy victim. The latest recruits under TʻAishih's banner were mostly hillmen and unaccustomed to discipline. Beside the walls of the city were pitiably low. One night Sun ordered one Wu to strip off his long dress, leave his arms save a dagger, clamber up the ramparts, and set fire to the city. Seeing the flames spreading, the commander made for the east gate, and as soon as he got outside, Sun TʻAishih followed in pursuit. The pursuit was maintained for some 30 li when the pursuers stopped. TʻAishih went on as long as possible, finally halting to rest in a spot surrounded by reeds. Suddenly, a tremendous shouting arose. TʻAishih was just starting when tripping ropes arose all round. His horse was thrown, and he found himself a prisoner. He was taken to camp. As soon as Sun TʻAishih heard the news, he himself rode out to meet the successful man and ordered the guards to leave the prisoner, whose bonds he loosened with his own hands. Then he took off his own embroidered robe and put it on the captive. They entered the camp together. "I knew you were a real hero," said Sun. "That worm of a Liu Yu had no use for such as you, and so he got beaten." The prisoner, overcome by this kindness and good treatment, then formally surrendered. Sun TʻAishih seized his hand and said, laughing, "If you had taken me at that fight we had near the shrine, would you have killed me?" "Who can say?" said TʻAishih, smiling. Sun TʻAishih laughed also, and they entered his tent, where the captive leader was placed in the seat of honor at a banquet. TʻAishih said, "Can you trust me so far as to let me go to muster as many as I can of the soldiers of my late master? Under the smart of this defeat they will turn against him, and they would be a great help to you." "Exactly what I most desire. I will make an agreement with you that at midday tomorrow you will return." TʻAishih agreed and went off. All the captains said he would never return. "He is trustworthy and will not break his word," said the chief. None of the officers believed he would come back. But the next day they set up a bamboo rod in the gate of the camp, and just as the shadow marked noon, TʻAishih returned, bringing with him about 1,000 men. Sun TʻAishih was pleased, and his officers had to confess that he had rightly judged his man. Sun TʻAishih had now several legions, and Chiangtung was his. He improved the conditions of the people, and maintained order so that his adherents and supporters daily increased. He was called Sun Lang, the Bright One. When his army approached, the people used to flee in terror, but when it had arrived and they saw that no one was permitted to loot, and not the least attempt was made on their houses. They rejoiced and presented the soldiers with oxen and wine, for which they were in turn duly rewarded. Gladness filled the countryside. The soldiers who had followed Liu Yu were kindly treated. Those who wished to join Sun's army did so. Those who preferred not to be soldiers were sent home with presents. And thus Sun TʻAishih won the respect and praise of everyone in Kyingnan and became very powerful. Sun TʻAishih then settled his mother and the remainder of the family in TʻAishih, setting his brother TʻAishih and Chu Ti over the city. Then he headed an expedition to the south to reduce the Wu districts. At that time there was a certain Yen Pai Hu, or the White Tiger, who styled himself Prince Ter of Eastern Wu and ruled over the Wu districts. Hearing of Sun TʻAishih's approach, the prince sent his brother Yen Yu with an army against him, and they met at Fernchiao. Yen Yu, sword in hand, took his stand on a bridge, and this was reported to Sun TʻAishih, who prepared to accept the challenge. Chang Hung tried to dissuade him, saying, "Forasmuch as my lord's fate is bound up with that of the army, he should not risk a conflict with a mere robber. I would that you should remember your own value. Your words, O Elder One, are as gold and precious stones. But I fear that my soldiers will not carry out my commands unless I myself share their dangers." Then he sent forth Han Tang to take up the challenge. Just as he reached the bridge, Chiang Xiaoqin and Xiaoqian Wu, who had dropped down the river in a small boat, passed under the bridge. Though the arrows fell in clouds on the bank, the two men rushed up and fiercely attacked Yen Yu as he stood on the bridge. He fled, and Han Tang went in pursuit, smiting up to the gate of the city into which he entered. Sun TʻAishih laid siege to Suqiao both by land and water. For 3 days no one came out to offer battle. Then at the head of his army he came to the Xiaoqiang gate and summoned the warden. An officer of inconsiderable rank came out and stood with one hand resting on a beam, while with the other he gave point to his abuse of those below. Quickly TʻAishih Tizu's hand sought his bow, and an arrow was on the string. "See me hit that fellow's hand," said he, turning to his companions. Even as the sound of his voice died away, the bowstring twanged. The arrow sped and lodged in the beam, firmly pinning thereto the officer's hand. Both sides, those on the wall and those below it, marveled at such marksmanship. The wounded man was taken away, and when the White Tiger heard of the exploit, he said, "How can we hope to withstand an army with such men as this in it?" And his thoughts turned toward a peace. He sent his brother Yu out to see Sun TʻAishih, who received him civilly, invited him into the tent, and set wine before him. "And what does your brother propose?" said Sun. "He is willing to share this district with you," was the reply. "The rat, how dare he put himself on a level with me?" cried Sun. He commanded to put the messenger to death. Yu started up and drew his sword, but out flew Sun TʻAishih's blade, and the unhappy messenger fell to the ground. His head was hacked off and sent into the city to his brother. This had its effect. The White Tiger saw resistance was hopeless, so he abandoned the city and fled. Sun TʻAishih pressed the attack. Huang Kai captured Chiasing, Kashing, and TʻAishih Tizu took Wuchang. The district was quickly subdued. The White Tiger rushed off toward Hangzhou in the east, plundering on all sides, till a band of villagers under the leadership of one Ling Tsao checked his career of robbery there. He then went toward Qiuchi. The Lings, father and son, then went to meet Sun TʻAishih, who took them into his service as a reward for their service, and the joint forces crossed the river. The White Tiger gathered his scattered forces and took up a position at the western ford, but Xiaoqiang attacked him there and scattered the defenders, chasing them as far as Huichi. The prefect of the place, Wang Lang, was on their side and inclined to support them actively. But when he proposed this, one of his men stood forth, saying, No, no. Sun TʻAishih as a leader is humane and upright, while the white tiger is a savage ruffian. Rather capture him and offer his person as a peace offering to Sun TʻAishih. The prefect turned angrily toward the speaker, who was an official named Yu Fan, and bade him be silent. He withdrew sighing deeply, and the prefect went to the help of the white tiger with whom he joined forces at Shanian. Sun TʻAishih came up. When both sides were arrayed, Sun TʻAishih rode out and addressed Wang Lang, saying, "Mine is an army of good men and my aim is to restore peace to Chekiang, but you give your support to a rebel." Wang Lang replied, "Your greed is insatiable. Having got possession of Wu, you want also my district, and so, as an excuse, you have vengeance to wreak on the Yens." This response greatly angered Sun TʻAishih. Just as battle was to be joined, TʻAishih Tzu advanced, and Wang Lang came toward him waving his sword. Before they had exchanged many passes, TʻAishih dashed out to help Wang. Thereupon Huang Kai rode out to make the sides more equal. These latter two were just engaging when the drums rolled on both sides, and a general battle began. Suddenly confusion was caused in the rear of Wang's army by the sudden onslaught of a small troop. Wang Lang galloped off to see to it. Then an attack was made on his flank, so that he was in a hopeless position, and he and the white tiger, fighting desperately, only just managed to reach the shelter of the city. The drawbridges were raised, the gates closed, and preparations made to sustain a siege. Sun TʻAishih followed right up to the walls, and then divided his men so as to attack all 4 gates. Seeing that the city was being fiercely attacked, Wang Lang was for making a sortie, but the white tiger opposed this as hopeless against so strong a force outside. They could only strengthen their position and remain behind the shelter of the ramparts until hunger forced the besiegers to retire. Wang Lang agreed, and the siege went on. For several days, a vigorous attack was maintained, but with little success. Taking counsel with his officers, Sun Qing, who was the uncle of Sun TʻAishih, said, "Since they are holding the city with such resolution, it will be difficult to dislodge them. But the bulk of their supplies is stored at TʻAishih, distant only some score li. Our best plan is to seize this place, thus attacking where the enemy is unprepared and doing what they do not expect." Sun TʻAishih approved, saying, "My uncle's plan is admirable and will crush the rebels." So he issued orders to kindle watch fires at all the gates and leave the flag standing to maintain the appearance of soldiers in position while the expedition went south. Chu Yu came to utter a warning. "When you, my lord, go away, the besieged will surely come out and follow you. We might prepare a surprise for them." Sun TʻAishih replied, "My preparations are complete and the city will be captured tonight." So the army set out. Wang Lang heard that the besiegers had gone, and he went up to the tower to reconnoiter. He saw the fires blazing, the smoke rising, and the pennons fluttering in the breeze as usual, and hesitated. TʻAishih said, "He has gone, and this is only a stratagem. Let us go out and smite them." The white tiger said, "If he has gone, it is to attack TʻAishih. Let us pursue." "The place is our base of supply," said Wang Lang, "and must be defended. You lead the way and I will follow with reserves." So the white tiger and TʻAishih went forth with 5 companies and drew near their enemy about the first watch, at 20 li from the city. The road led through dense forest. Then suddenly the drums beat and lighted torches sprang up on all sides. The white tiger was frightened, turned his horse and started to retreat. At once a leader appeared in front in whom, by the glare of the torches, he recognized son TʻAishih. TʻAishih made a rush at him but fell under son TʻAishih's spear. The men surrendered. However, the white tiger managed to cut his way out. Wang Lang soon heard of the loss, and not daring to return to the city retreated in all haste to Heiyu. And so son TʻAishih got possession of the city. Having restored order, a few days later a man came bringing the head of the white tiger as an offering to son TʻAishih. This man was a native of the district. He was of medium height, with a square face and wide mouth. He was named TʻAishih and was given an office. After this peace reigned in all the east, and having placed his uncle in command of the city and made Chu-Chi prefect, son TʻAishih returned to his own place. While son TʻAishih was absent, a band of brigands suddenly attacked Suanchang, left in the care of his brother Chuan and the leader Chu-Ti. As the onslaught was made on all sides at once, and in the night, the brigands got the upper hand. Chu-Ti took the youth in his arms and mounted a horse, but as the robbers came on with swords to attack him, he dismounted, and though without mail, met the robbers on foot and slew them as they came up. Then came a horseman armed with a spear, but Chu-Ti laid hold of his spear and pulled him to the earth. Then he mounted the robber's horse and thrusting this way, and that with the spear fought his way out. So son Chuan was preserved, but his savior had received more than a dozen wounds. These wounds being due to metal would not heal but swelled enormously, and the brave soldier's life hung in the balance. Son TʻAishih was deeply grieved. Then TʻAishih said, "Once in an engagement with some pirates I received many spear wounds, but a certain wise man named Yu Fan recommended a surgeon who cured me in half a month." "Surely this must be Yu Cheng'Xiang," replied son TʻAishih. "That is he is so called." "Yes, truly a wise man, I will employ him." So son TʻAishih sent 2 officers to invite him, and he came at once. He was treated in most friendly fashion and appointed an official forthwith. Then the question of treating the wounded man was brought up. The surgeon is one Huato who has perfectly marvelous skill in the leech's art. "I will get him to come," said Yu Fan. Shortly the famous leech arrived, a man with the complexion of a youth and a snowy beard. He looked more like a saint who had passed the gates of this life. He was treated very handsomely and taken to see the sick soldier's wounds. "The case is not difficult," said the surgeon, and he prepared certain drugs that healed the wounds within a month. Son TʻAishih suitably acknowledged his care and skill, and he was allowed to leave. Next son TʻAishih attacked the brigands and destroyed them, so restoring complete tranquility to Changnan. After this, he set garrisons at all the strategical points, and this done, memorialized what he had achieved. He came to an understanding with TʻAishih and sent letters to Yuan Shu demanding the return of the seal he had left in pledge. But Yuan Shu, secretly cherishing the most ambitious designs, wrote excuses and did not return the state jewel. In his own place he hastily summoned his officers to a council and said, "Son TʻAishih borrowed an army from me and set out on an expedition which has made him master of Chiangtung. Now he says nothing of repayment but demands the token of his pledge. Truly he is a bore, and what steps can I take to destroy him?" The recorder, Yang Taqiang, replied, "You cannot do anything against him, for he is too strongly placed. You must first remove Liu Pei in revenge for having attacked you without cause, and then you may think about son TʻAishih. I have a scheme to put the former into your hands in a very short time." He went not to destroy the tiger, but instead against a dragon forth his army led. The means he employed will be made plain in the next chapter.